Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Achua, and in this video I want to share some 14 fragrances I've been able to get rid from my collection. These are fragrances I had issues with, some I just wasn't reaching out for them, and I have reasons. I'll share the reasons why I had to let go of some of these fragrances, 10 of which I was able to sell, and then 4 of them I gave out. So we have 14 fragrances in total, and for the first time I was able to sell some. I've never been able to sell any of my used fragrances. I normally just, randomly give them to friends and family. But this time, I just wanted to realize some money from it, and use that same money to sort of um reinvest into my whole YouTube channel. And I was able to do that, fortunately. So I'm going to let you know how much I was able to realize from the sale of these 10 fragrances, and how much of that amount I also reinvested into this channel or in buying newer fragrances. So I'm going to start off with the first one, which is going to be Lataffa's Anna in Glory. I had to just let that fragrance go because I couldn't find a lot of uses for it, and that fragrance changed on me. Initially, whenever I hear people say something, fragrances turn on them or change on them, I really was a bit skeptical about it, until I experienced Anna in Glory. It just wasn't working for me at some point. I like the concept of the fragrance, creme brulee, creamy vanilla, pineapple. I love the concept of it, and I loved the initial first few months. It was more creamy, nothing too spicy. And I love my spicy fragrances, but the turmeric in this one turned to a spice that wasn't really vibing well with me. So I had to eventually let Anna and Glory go. The second one I was able to sell is Amir Al Noble from Lataffa. And that is a fragrance I love, but I already have Ish Al Shu Gold also from Lataffa, and I think it is redundant for me to have those two fragrances. And I prefer Ish Al Shu Gold because it is more intense, more darker, more sultry, as opposed to the Amir Al Noble, which is like a lighter take on the Ish Al Shu, which are both in the same family as Rosendo Mato number 5. So I wasn't reaching out for Amir. I've hardly used that fragrance, even though that was what I got before I purchased Ish Al Shu Gold, but I utilized Ish Al Shu Gold a lot more than Amir Al Noble. So I had to let that one go. It's a love for me, but I had to just let it go because I found very little use for it because of Ish Al Shu Gold. The third fragrance here is going to be After Effects from FA Paris, which is apparently inspired by initial side effects. And I was able to get a decant of side effects from Scent Plate, and when I tested them together, they are about 85% similar, but I sort of prefer the original side effect to FA Paris interpretation. There was something about it that the scent profile by itself is not something that I enjoyed. I think it is like rum and some spices, boozy rum. It's nice, but I didn't see myself wearing that fragrance. And I've been complaining and testing this fragrance for over a year. And I just felt there was no need keeping it, at this point. So I had to let it go, and I was able to sell it. The fourth fragrance I was able to sell is going to be Paris Corner Ministry of Oud Satin Mood. That to me is one of the best interpretation of MFK's Oud Satin Mood. It is a very good fragrance, but what made me lose love for this fragrance, was even the first try. I remember getting this fragrance. I picked it up from a delivery guy, and that day I was not so well. I was a bit sick, and it was warm and humid and everything. And I tried this fragrance for the first time. I think I had tried other other inspired versions of MFK's Oud Satin Mood, but I wanted that particular one. So when I tried that, coupled with the fact that I was not well, my body didn't receive that fragrance well. Afterwards, when I got better, I tried it a little more on a few occasions. I wanted to wear it out, but anytime I did, I was always reminded of my first experience with that fragrance in my car. After taking it from the delivery guy, it was not a pleasant one. And now I was never able to wear that fragrance, even though, like, in theory, it sounds it sounds and it smells good, but in practice I couldn't really utilize it because of the first experience I ever had with this fragrance. So it was almost a full bottle. And I have this girlfriend who really likes MFK's Oud Satin Mood. So I sold it to her, because I had already given her one other MFK inspired fragrance. So she was willing to buy it off from me, and I was able to sell it to her. So I had to just let that go, and that is my reason. My first experience with it was not well. In theory, I love the whole concept of that rose oud combo, but in practice it didn't work. Then the fourth, I think, or the fifth fragrance is going to be Celestial from Paris Corner, Amir line. And Celestial was the first fragrance I picked, with that guy made DNA. That was my first introduction to that scent profile. But in January or December, late December, I picked up Massa from Lataffa, which I hated from the beginning, only for me to come back like, few months later to really fall in love with Massa. And I just felt I gravitate towards Massa a lot more than Celestial from Amir, Paris Corner. So I felt like it's quite redundant. I utilize Massa a lot more. And even if I say I utilize Massa a lot more, that is going to be like once in every 2 months, because I have so many fragrances that I gravitate towards more, so I just realized Celestial was quite redundant. I wasn't going to use it. I was going to reach out for Massa anytime I wanted to get that scent profile. So I've let Celestial from Paris Corner go. I've also let go. I sold it. All the ones that I'm mentioning are the fragrances I was able to sell. I also able to let go of Ramz Gold from Lataffa. It's quite a polarizing scent, I tried so hard to love that fragrance. It just wasn't working, no matter how much I allowed it to macerate. I think I've had mine for 1.5 years. At the point I sold it, it just wasn't getting as smooth as I wanted it. The scent profile wasn't something, even though it gives me a fruit chili with that pineapple, apple, Middle Eastern, animalic nuance, there was something, or there is something about Ramz Gold that really doesn't do it for me, so I had to let Ramz Gold go. It is a bit too much. It takes so long to smoothing out, as opposed to other fragrances in that same scent family. It took too long to smoothing out, and even after 1.5 years, it still wasn't as what I was expecting it to be, so I just knew I wasn't going to reach out for Ramz Gold. I had to let it go, so I sold it. I've also been able to get rid of this one is not a Middle Eastern fragrance, but a designer fragrance, Cashare's Yes I Am. I had I think it's a 75 ml or 100 ml, the bigger one. I had that one, and then I think a 10 ml, I bought it in a set. I just couldn't see myself using that fragrance, it just wasn't me. It is a milky fragrance. At the time I got Yes I Am, I wasn't familiar with a lot of milk fragrances, I think it was one of my earliest introduction to milky sort of fragrances, but it's a milk not done in a way I enjoy, so I never really reached out for that fragrance. I sold the bigger bottle. I only have the small, I think it's 5 ml, that alone is enough for me if ever I'll be in the mood to test that fragrance. So Yes I Am by Cashmere is gone. And then I also was able to sell FA Paris Siana. This is a fragrance I have praised a lot on this fragrance. Siana, Giovanni Lorenzi FA Paris. And this is going to give you your Baccarat Rouge with more masculine, mossy, earthy tones, and that has been compared to Spirito Fiorentino from Tiziana Terenzi. It's almost an exact replica when it comes to the scent and even the bottle, the package, everything. It is a fragrance I would highly recommend, but I just found myself with like lots more of these fragrances, and I think in last month or a month or two ago when I was in Zimbabwe, I picked up French Avenue, from Grandeur, which gives like a lighter floral sort of, version of Baccarat Rouge. And I already have other sort of Baccarat Rouge inspired fragrances. And I just wanted to let some of them go because I really would not utilize them, So I had to let Siana from F.A. Paris, Giovanni Lorenzi, I had to let it go. And one fragrance I know a lot of people will be surprised by is going to be Kaid Al Fursan, the pineapple one, It is a beautiful scent, but I hardly wear that fragrance. I hardly reach for it. It lends a bit masculine. When I was able to test Hashivat, I realized it's inspired by that, At the time I had that bottle, I had never smelled Hashivat, and even Lataffa has this one, Al Dana, Al Dana. They are all the same smoky pineapple, but this one is more like it's like on steroids. No, it's on steroids, not well blended. There's something about it. You need to give it time. At least for me, I think I started to enjoy Kaid Al Fursan after like 1 year, 1 year, then you really get the full potential of the fragrance, or the full benefit of the fragrance being like smoothing out and or smoothing out. I liked it after about 6 months, but even the beginning was okay. But when you experience more and more fragrances, then you begin to know where some of the fragrances got it wrong, So I was able to just figure out that there was something screechy about Kaid Al Fursan, which took so long to smoothing out, and I guess was a bit over it. I was just over it. I just couldn't stand the fact that I have to wait for it more and more to get to the level where I'll appreciate it the best, So I just found myself not reaching out for Kaid Al Fursan. I would still highly recommend that if you have the patience to let fragrances sit for quite a long time, I would still recommend Kaid Al Fursan. But for me, I find something like Aldana from the Niche Emirati line much more smoother, much more smoother, much more well blended, nothing screechy, nothing harsh, nothing abrasive, nothing in your face, So if I'm supposed to recommend between those two, I'll say go for Aldana, for example. So for that reason, I had to let go of Kaid Al Fursan, the pineapple, black bottle. And I think those are the 10 fragrances. No, the last one is going to be from Fragrance World, the one and only Golden Night, which is that young party guy vibe with some vanilla and some cardamom. It's a spicy sort of fragrance, and I think that is inspired by a D&G fragrance with a similar name, if I'm not mistaken, the one and only Golden Nights. It's a nice fragrance. I guess for like, it is like a little masculine. It has that typical masculine party guys, vibe, and I was never going to reach out for that. So I sold that one to a young gentleman, sort of an acquaintance, he wanted that. So I was able to sell it to him. So those are the 10 fragrances: Amir Al Noble, Lataffa Anna and Glory, Ministry of Oud Satin Mood, After Effect, Ramz Gold, Celestial by Paris Corner, Kaid Al Fursan, the one and only Golden Night, Siana from F.A. Paris, Giovanni Lorenzi, and then Yes I Am. Those are the 10 fragrances I was able to sell off. And from the sale of these fragrances, I was able to realize 2,250 Ghana cedis, which is equivalent of about $150. That was how much I realized from selling these 10 fragrances. The next 4 fragrances are fragrances I guess gave out, and these are going to be Eternal Coffee from Paris Corner, the coffee scent. I already have French coffee, and I enjoy it much better. So I gifted Eternal Coffee to my sister. I also gifted Saheb from Ad Asafran. I also gifted that one out. I've also gifted out my Ragba. I couldn't see myself selling Ragba to anyone because I guess what, like, I didn't like it enough, for someone to sort of waste their money in buying that, probably because they might get a similar experience as I did, that heavy smoker saliva nuance. I just didn't want to sell. I didn't want to sell it. So I guess gifted it out. Unfortunately, the person I gifted this fragrance out enjoys it, and she told me she's run out of it and she wanted one to buy. So it means she enjoyed it, and I think the reason why probably she enjoyed it was because it had macerated for a very long time in my collection, but I gave it to someone and she enjoyed it. And the last one I gave us is going to be Faka Straight by Lataffa, Faka Straight, the gold bottle. I think I've already decluttered my Faka, the one for women, but I gave this one out, the straight version, to a male friend, because I just wanted to give something to him. So those are the fragrances, 14 fragrances I have gotten rid in my collection in the last 1.5, 2 months, yes, 14 of them. And these are the 7 fragrances I was able to purchase with the amount I was able to recoup from the sale of these 10 fragrances. I was able to sell 10. Out of the 10, I realized 2,250 Ghana cedis, which is equivalent to about $150. And these are the ones that I have been able to replace them with. It's going to start with Floor Oud from Cutthroat. Unfortunately, I didn't buy this one like unboxed. The vendor I got this one from didn't have any new bottle, but she was willing to sell her bottle to me, her bottle. So I bought this one pre-loved. It was like almost full. I've utilized this quite a bit, after purchasing it, but it was almost full. So she discounted the price, and gave it to me at a very reasonable price. So I've replaced some of these 10 fragrances I have decluttered with Floor Oud. That is the first one. The second one here is going to be one that I just spoke about on this channel, Veau Patisserie from Paris Corner, the Amir line. I was able to get this to Veau Patisserie, so that makes 2 fragrances. The third fragrance is going to be also from Paris Corner, Cognac Blaze. I was able to repurchase this from the sale of the 10 fragrances. Then I was also able to purchase Mount Applittini, the same sort of, their flankers. I was able to purchase Mount Applittini. Then comes in Lyalina from Oud as a Fursan. I was able to purchase this one, and I'm yet to even speak about this, but a very beautiful floral powdery scent. For me, it screams fall. It screams fall or autumn more to me, but I'll bring you all the details about this fragrance. I've been able to pick up Amir from Lataffa. This is a fragrance I've been meaning to pick up for quite some time. I think it's been likened to a Clive Christian, Town and Country, if I'm not mistaken, and this is absolutely amazing, like a summer boss sort of, like well put together fragrance, citric summer, but very well put together, dressed up, fragrance. So Amir from Lataffa. And the last fragrance I was able to purchase out of the sale of these 10 fragrances is going to be Zacharias Lux from Fragrance World. And this is inspired by Siana Terenz's, not Siana Terenzi, but Amani's magenta, something magenta, magenta tanzanite. That is what this one is inspired by, So it's at 7 fragrances. I was able to sell 10, but I was able to purchase 7 more, So I wasn't able to make the same number or purchase the same number as the ones I decluttered. So, okay, with the sale of this, as I said, I made 2,250 Ghana cedis, equivalent to about $150. And these 7 fragrances I was able to purchase with this money amounted to 2,230 Ghana cedis. So almost the same. And 2,230 is also around $148, $147, So I was, whatever amount I was able to make from the sale of these 10 fragrances are the same sort of amount I used to buy these other 7 fragrances, And I was able to get some great deals in selling these ones because I had the boxes, everything was intact. A lot of them had just a few sprays, off them. So I was able to sell them at a reasonable price, just a little less than what I originally bought them from, So I'm happy about this haul. I wouldn't say haul, but I bought them, at different times, and like I bought them at different times. But I'm happy that for the first time I've been able to at least not expend money, but have been able to sell some of my older and used fragrances, and have been able to replace them with some fragrances that I'm happy about. With the exception of one of these fragrances, I'm not totally happy about, and I'll tell you all about that particular fragrance in subsequent videos. So that is going to be it for today, and I hope this video found you well. Please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I hope to see you in my next one. Take care. Bye bye.